Maybe I need to exercise some more patience. What do you think? Hello and welcome back to the Guitar Foster Parent. I'm John McLain. So glad to have you with us on the channel today as we continue with our Gio-Jazz Project here and work on finding this guitar a forever home. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm very excited to announce we have over 150 subscribers now. So I'm so happy and want to welcome all of you that are just finding us on YouTube, and so happy to have you along for the journey in our mission to see that every guitar, at least within our power, I believe every guitar deserves to be played. Did that make sense the way I said that? Anyway, that's how I said it. Well, today we are going to continue on our project for the Jazz Gio, and this is going to be an interesting day because for the first time ever on Guitar Foster Parent, we're going to go outside. We have to, because removing this finish is going to generate some rather noxious and some fumes that we don't need to be breathing inside. We need to be outside so that they can go away. Plus the weather right now here in North Texas is really nice this time of year. So why not? We're going to try that. And I think the lighting will be pretty good today. I actually checked the forecast and picked the day to shoot. So hopefully that will work out. A couple of quick notes before we go down. First of all, I wanted to announce also very happily that our Harmony 2814 project has been placed. We have found a forever home for the guitar, have not shipped it out yet. I'm waiting on some materials because I want to make sure it arrives safely. So I've ordered some kind of pro quality shipping materials that I'm waiting to come in. As soon as they do, we're going to be sending that guitar on its way to its new forever home in Alabama. And I'm going to tell you all about its new forever home, and we'll get some pictures and hopefully some video showing that guitar making music again. I'm so excited because that's the whole point of what we do here at the Guitar Foster Parent. So who will receive this one? What will the forever home be of the Gio-Jazz Project? Well, we're a few weeks away from that. We got a lot of work to do, so let's get to it. First of all, I wanted to invite you to like this video, subscribe, click the notification bell. Those three things are so important to YouTube and placing our content in front of more people. I want this mission to grow. There are a lot of guitars that deserve to be played, and there are a lot of people that would be great forever homes for them. And so the more we grow here on the channel, the more we'll be able to do that. The more funds we'll have, the more ways that we'll be able to bless people with the gift of music. All right, with that said, I wanted to kind of do a little prelim in the studio before we head outside to do the heavy lifting here. Couple things I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and remove the bridge. Obviously, we want to remove all the metal parts from the guitar before we start this process. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the bridge. I'm not going to show that. It's 6 screws. It'll come right out. And then we're going to also remove the tremolo spring hooks back here and the screws, and then the strap hooks as well. So at that point, we will then have a block of wood. In my research on how to do this, because I want to remind you, if you're just joining us, I've never dealt with finishes on a guitar before. I've never removed them, never put one on. I have scratched them before on accident, but I've never removed or applied them. Well, that's about to change because today I will no longer be a rookie. I've done a little research and I've discovered that there are really 3 main ways to remove a finish like this. And this is probably true for things other than guitars. But for guitars specifically, there are 3 main ways. You can sand it all off. What a mess. But you can basically sand layer after layer off of this guitar, go through a ton of sandpaper because as this stuff heats, it's going to gum up the paper, right? And it's going to, then you're going to have to change your disc. And so that's really not an efficient way, and it's a mess. Another way to do it is you can do it chemically. You can take chemicals, paint strippers, smear them on here, wait a while, let them work, remove a layer, do it again, do it again, do it again. I have used chemical strippers on other projects before, not on guitars, but on household projects, and I can tell you, not one time did I enjoy it. It stinks, it's a mess, takes forever. And so we're not going to do that. We're going to do the third way, which is heat. These finishes, when they exceed their adherence threshold, will begin to bubble. And at that point can be scraped off. And if the heat gets deep enough, you can take off multiple layers and even all the layers with one fell swoop. And so we're going to talk more about that when we get downstairs. My heat gun is down there. I've never had a heat gun before. I went to Harbor Freight and got a really nice heat gun and some accessories. We're going to talk about the accessories, and then we're going to get to it in just a minute when we get downstairs. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to use heat, and by applying heat to the surface, we're going to watch for this to bubble up a little bit. You know, kind of like, grease in a frying pan, little tiny bubbles. And then when that happens, we will take a scraper and we will kind of gently, because we don't want to scar the wood underneath. Okay, and we'll talk more about that when I show you the tools here in just a second. So that's going to be the process, taking from the front, the back, the sides, and then once that's done, once we do as much as we can do with the heat, we're going to come in with an orbital sander to do a final pass and get it nice and smooth. And then for the little nooks and crannies on this strat-shaped body, we'll need to do some hand sanding. So that'll be elbow grease, and that'll take some time, but we want to get it just right and get it prepped for primer and new finish down the road. So that's what's ahead of us on today's Guitar Foster Parent. Without further ado, let's go outside. Well, here we are outside back by the fence. Sorry, my glasses turned dark, and I also put on a cap so I don't burn my scalp, getting a little thin on top. Before we get started on the project, I want to show you kind of basically what we have here. Here's our guitar. We've removed all the metal parts. We're going to start on the back, because that's the smoothest surface, and since we're learning as we go, thought that might be a way to go. Here's our heat gun that we got from Harbor Freight. This one's pretty cool. It's got 14 different heat settings. I have no idea which heat setting to start with, so I'm going to start in the middle. There is a danger if it gets too hot that fire could happen. You know, these materials, if they get too hot, can burn. So we're going to be very careful and take our time. But I think that going kind of in the middle and then moving from there, it should be pretty obvious if it's too hot, and we'll back it off. But this is the heat gun that I have. And then I also got some accessories, also from Harbor Freight, that included this little tool. One thing I wanted to point out, this guitar body, I think, is made of poplar. It could also be made of a number of other woods, but I think it's probably poplar, which can be pretty soft. And so what we don't want to do as we're, scraping off our surface is we don't want to gouge grooves in the guitar that we're just going to have to sand off later and take off material. We want to be careful not to damage the wood beneath. And so what I've done is using this special tool. I don't know if you can tell, I'll turn it like this. As opposed to a putty knife that has very sharp corners, this tool is rounded on the edges, and I hope you can pick that up. And so as we're scraping, if we kind of turn a little bit, we'll be careful not to do that. That way it won't gouge out grooves in the wood surface, which we don't want. And really, other than that, that's really all there is to it. So I think our courage is high enough now we can get started on our very first finish removal. Here we go. All right, before we get started, I wanted to mention one more thing. As I'm scraping this hot material, this hot molten paint and whatever's on here material off, it's going to be hot, and I don't know if it's going to be like a blobby goo or what. So I don't want to just chuck it into a trash can that's plastic that has a trash bag in it. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use an ash can from my charcoal grill. And that way, if it is hot, it's not going to burn as I toss it into the can. So I've got it set up. Also, the surface right here, this is a fiberglass welding blanket that can't burn. It's used, to catch welding debris. And so I've covered my workbench. It's not the softest thing in the world, but we're not really worried about scratching this surface since we're getting ready to remove it. Well, the sun is already starting to heat this up, so let's turn on our heat gun. And again, we're going to start kind of in the middle, give it a minute to heat up, and I guess I'll start right here, get my scraper ready, and let's see what happens. I'm watching for bubbles here, I'm told. I can feel it softening. I also don't know how long this heat gun takes to heat up. Yeah, nothing yet. Tell you what, let's do. Let's dial up the heat a little bit. Oh, the fan turned up. All right, here we go. Let's see if this does any better. Get my surface ready. Maybe the heat gun needs to heat up a minute. I had a guy tell me that he did, and he had a lot of experience, but he did an entire guitar body in 10 minutes. Which, you know, looking at this now, that seems to be a pretty aggressive goal here. Maybe I need to exercise some more patience. What do you think? They say to look for bubbling on the surface, and I don't see any bubbling. All right, well, let's turn it up even higher. There we go. Now we're starting to see some, look at that. Now we're seeing it. Hey. All right, so let's kind of, I think we just had to wait for the gun to heat up a little bit. Hey, there we go. So hopefully the camera is picking up. We're in the sun, so I think it probably will pick up the bubbling. See, there it is. The lacquer kind of bubbles up. Yeah, look at that. You can actually hear it. It's almost like popcorn. Let's come down here. And, you know, he said whenever it bubbles, but it's not coming off in globs, is it? So I'm not going to need my ash can. I'm just going to have a big mess to sweep up, but that's okay. Yeah. This is probably a good time to mention that after this step, after we've heat gunned this off, we will be using an orbital sander to finish the surface of the guitar. And as we do that, that will take off the remnants of the paint here. My tool head is coming loose here. I guess that's okay. So you got to hold this pretty close, it looks like, to get the effect. By the way, I have this heat gun turned all the way up to its highest setting, and it seems like that's probably the way to go. I am happy about the fact that it doesn't seem to be trying to light the wood on fire, which is a good thing. I paused momentarily to go and tighten the tip on this tool. It was loose, so I just had it hand tight before, which was dumb. I am watching carefully these screw holes as the heat goes in there. I don't want those to flare up. There's the bubbling. See it come up? And kind of like, you know, when it gets started, you see that right there? It's kind of like once it's loose, it just starts flying off. Yeah, see, it's bubbling up. I am glad I have this fiberglass blanket down. I don't know how hot this is getting, but it's probably getting pretty hot. See, I'm gonna bubble that up and see if that, oh yeah. So it's really taking everything off. This is just paint staining into the wood, which will sand off. And then we're gonna prime this eventually anyway. So I really don't see how that's going to be an issue. And see, it's bubbling up pretty good there. And off it goes. Let's work up toward this hook here. Planes flying over, hope that's not too loud. This is our debut outdoor video. The other thing I haven't done is clamp this guitar down to the workbench. So it's kind of trying to move on me a little bit. Bubbling it up, look at that. There it goes. So we had a paint chip right there that we just went right over. Now we're going to get to the end, and we want to be careful as we scrape down here not to, you know, dork up the end of that little rounded hook there. And we can fix some of it with sandpaper, but it would be best if we didn't remove wood material here. Yeah, see, it's bubbling right up there. Yeah, not bad. You see, in some spots we're taking off, you know, we're getting down to the, but it's not really gouged too bad. Yeah, I think once it's hot, it's pretty much loose. And then you can just bust it right off of there. Tell you what, let's do, let's try an experiment. So that's bubbled up. I'm gonna wait a minute and come over here to work and see if I can still chip it off. And the answer is yes, but not as good. So it's better to do a little and then scrape. Because my thought was if I could just bubble up the whole thing and then just concentrate on scraping, but it doesn't look like that's going to be as efficient. And off we go. All right, so as you can see, it's working. The fumes are really not too bad. I'm really kind of surprised. There's not a lot of smoke. I mean, you can smell it, but it's not bad. I have gotten a little rambunctious with my scraper, and so I'm trying to be a little more careful. This is warm, but it's not terribly hot. You know, I may heat some of this a little bit more and go over it. One thing I wanted to show, though, before we wrap it up for today, because I'm not going to sit through this whole thing, doing the whole thing on the video here. You get the idea. It'll take me quite a bit of time. One thing I do want to try, though, is the sides of the guitar. How is that going to work? So I'll be right back. I'm gonna clamp this guitar in an upright position, and we'll see how that works. All right, well, now we're clamped up in an upright position, and we're going to try the same technique and see if it's any different. I don't think it's going to be. We'll just try a little section right here. Here we go, bubbles. Bubbles forming. Yeah, so the answer is no, not really. It works pretty much the same way. Now you can see where the tool has a tendency to bite a little bit on those. So what we may do is turn it around and do it the other way. Wow, this is quite a process. The whole 10 minutes thing, I'm not sure what that guy was talking about. It's probably like one of those things where, you know, time is different to different people. It only seemed like 10 minutes. Yeah. So there you have it. You hold the heat in one spot until you see the little bubbles. And it's like, it reminds me of popcorn, kind of. You can almost hear the finish popping away from the material as it exceeds its heat threshold, which it would seem is pretty high. Like I say, this is a 1600 watt heat gun, and I have it wide open, and it's not setting anything on fire, and it's not exactly, you can see that I tried to get the angle where you can see the bubbles. See right here? It's starting to bubble up. Once that happens, it's loose of the wood. So I'm just doing a large section here, and then you just pop it loose, just like that. Well, I think that's enough for today. We're going to go ahead and finish this guitar off camera because this is going to take a lot longer than 10 minutes. But you can see we've got a good start on it. It's going to work fine. This is not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. I was really expecting to have problems with fire and, you know, oozing gooey paint splattering everywhere. Not the case. It chips off in these little filings, and it's basically just going to be a shop vac job to clean this up. No big deal at all. So we're going to go ahead and finish this up, and then next time on Guitar Foster Parent, we'll start the sanding process, which will be removing this last surfaces of paint, getting down to the wood, making it nice and smooth, correcting some blemishes here and there in the wood. That'll be coming up on the next episode. I want to invite you, of course, to subscribe to the channel. As I mentioned earlier, I'm so excited that we're above 150 subscribers. That is so exciting, and I thank you for sharing this with your family and friends and helping us spread the mission that every guitar deserves to be played. I hope that you'll join us next time on the Guitar Foster Parent. Bye-bye for now.